You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Ghost Talk with 187 PI. Sit back and prepare yourselves for an adventure into the paranormal world with host Shelly Robertson and 187 PI research team. Ghost Talk is broadcasting live from Ohio's most haunted jail. Learn about their ongoing research at the jail and abroad, investigation techniques, and their personal encounters. Here is your host of Ghost Talk and 187 PI founder, Shelly Robertson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ghost Talk Radio. With me as your host, Shelly Robertson. I have a very interesting show planned for you tonight. And I will be discussing paranormal versus mental illness. Okay? I invite all of you, our listening friends out there, to join me in chat at WBHM-DB.com, where you can get in on the conversation, ask me any questions you might have, or offer any bits of information of your own. Okay, so tonight I was inspired by the topic from an event that happened to me personally, okay? And it was at the jail during a ghost hunt. And the night all started when this couple, it was a man and wife, they came to the jail to do a ghost hunt with me and one of my team members. Now, right off the bat, this couple, which like I said was husband and wife, they let me know right away that they did not believe in ghosts. The woman also went as far to say to me that she thinks that people who claim to see or hear things such as ghosts needs professional mental help. Now, as you can imagine, I'm standing there. I'm sure the look of shock came over my face. I was dumbfounded, quite honestly, by that. But my thoughts were, why did she come to the jail? Why did she pay for tickets to do a ghost hunt when neither of them believed in ghosts, right? I was like, what is happening here? Moreover, when she actually thought and said it to me, if you see or hear something, you need professional mental help. Well, folks, after like 10 seconds of being stunned, I replied to her in a very positive manner, letting her know that we do have evidence that has also been peer-reviewed by many other people that things we cannot explain actually do exist. And then I went on to say, hopefully, our resident ghosts will make an appearance, or maybe they'll talk for us tonight. Okay? So, as sure as I'm sitting right here, folks, I will tell you that was the longest ghost hunting session that I have ever conducted in my entire life. I was very professional, and I took this couple through all of the situations that work best for getting our resident ghosts to interact, okay? However, I gotta tell you, the jail was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop through the entire building. The jail has never, ever been that quiet. I can say this with the utmost certainty that the jail's never been that quiet ever since I purchased it. And I believe that the resident spirits interact in kind of the same way as they do in the living, okay? Like, they can be temperamental, you know what I'm saying? So, with this going on, there was no building creaks, absolutely nothing. So, as you can imagine, by the end of the night, I looked like an insane person to these two people that came to a ghost hunt saying that they didn't believe in ghosts and they thought we were crazy. So, a funny thing happened the minute these people walked out the door. Everything in the building got noisy and doors slammed. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't you guys do that while they were here? It was so crazy. I could not believe. But I don't know why the ghosts behave that way. But like I said, I think they're temperamental. Maybe they were not liking it, that those people were real adamant about them not existing. I don't know. I'm not sure what the couple was doing there that night, and I'm not sure why our residents' ghosts stay hidden. No meters went off, no nothing. When I tell you nothing happened, I mean nothing. And that is probably the only time that has ever happened at the jail. So, that got me thinking, was that woman trying to test her own self? Did she come to a location that is claimed to be haunted to work out some inner issues with her own self? Had she experienced something paranormal only to consult professional mental help and be told that she suffers from a mental illness? I don't know. Was she a member of a medical professional association of some sort coming to the jail for her own studies? I don't know. This situation had raised a lot of questions in my mind. Maybe she thought I was a classic case of someone with a mental illness. I'm not sure. But it did give me a lot of questions and things to look further into, right? And we have a gal in chat, Brenda. She asked, is being rude a mental illness? Well, I guess it would depend on the context in which you're being rude. You know, folks, we all know that our brain is a very powerful organ. It controls everything within our being, okay? So let's talk about our brain for a moment, shall we, folks? And let me tell you, so much more happens than I could ever go over in tonight's show. And we will continue some of this information in a future show as well, because there is a lot that you can go over. So let's talk about the brain for a moment. There's some interesting stuff going on up inside your head, right? For example, you'll find this just amazing. The slowest speed information passes around your brain is approximately 260 miles an hour. It's pretty darn fast, right? Speaking of which, you have approximately 70,000 thoughts per day, although some of them may be the same thoughts looping over and over inside your head, so one must be careful what you think about. You know, you have something in your brain actually called mirror neurons. Now, and this, I'll explain what this is. It's kind of like if you see somebody stub their toe, for an example, the exact same pain area will light up in your own brain, causing you to flinch. Or, you've seen something gruesome on TV and you're just like, ugh, right? Well, that is caused by mirror neurons. And mirror neurons weren't even known to exist prior to the early 1990s. But now there's a growing belief in the scientific community that they are responsible for us feeling empathy towards others. Interesting, right? Some other fascinating facts is your brain is constantly lying to you. That's right. You heard me correct. Lying to you when you have your eyes open, because your brain cannot deal with every single detail that you're looking at. The occipital lobe is joining the dots, with what it presumes is actually there. It's much the same way that you can read sentences that are jarbled or words that are misspelled. You've seen the memes on Facebook that all the letters are scrambled and if you can read this, blah, 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 right? Well, that is because your brain anticipates, corrects, and fills in the blanks, all right? That is something that it is wired to do. Now, similarly, your brain doesn't need to record memories like video, as you would likely assume. It takes snapshots of the more important bits, and then when you recall the event, it guesses what happened in between based on a prior experience, all right? Your brain finds it very easy to create false memories, largely because of the fact that it spends so much time guessing what's happening. I know that's a little much to comprehend, but there was these scientists, and they exposed people to photoshopped images of themselves at various events years prior, all right? And those people, didn't take them long, few minutes. They were able to explain what they were doing and recall the event with clarity, even though they had never been there. They just photoshopped them in an event photo. Isn't that just phenomenal? There will be events you swear happened, and the way you remember it, but they never actually did. Pretty sobering, right? And I think that goes along with, you have a memory, and as years pass on, you and another person, maybe a family member, friend, whatever, had been at the same little gathering. But as the years pass on, you both remember the event differently. That's your brain's just filling in the blanks. So what is true? Well, we don't really know. We don't know. So how does this all relate to mental illness and paranormal? Well, first of all, let's consider a few other things that our brain does that some people may consider paranormal. Okay? What I found, and before I make this statement, I'm not condemning anyone. I'm not being negative or saying there is a wrong or right way to do things, but I am saying you have to have an open mind and consider all options, okay? So, what I found in the paranormal community, many people claiming to be paranormal researchers or ghost hunters, if you want to call it that, I'm finding these people are so desperate to find every little thing to be paranormal without considering a logical conclusion of what they're actually finding. What I mean by that, and an example, is we still get the onslaught of those beautiful photos of orbs that people are claiming are ghosts. I see these pictures floating around a lot on my social media pages. The problem with this is people aren't educating themselves on what they're actually doing. They want to believe so badly that they caught a ghost that they're not considering that these little orbs are dust, pollen, maybe moisture in the air, or honestly, they could be bugs. And speaking of bugs, I've also seen an onslaught of photographs, and even video clips of where you can see something charting through a photo or jarring through a video, and people are claiming it to be a paranormal entity. And many times, if you take a moment and slow your video down, you will see the bug perfectly buzzing through. Now, where am I going with all of this? Well, the same is true with pareidolia. Now, pareidolia is the tendency to interpret vague stimulus as something known to the observer, such as seeing shapes in clouds, seeing a face in inanimate objects, or abstract patterns, or hearing messages in music, okay? Common examples of perceived images are usually of animals, faces, or objects in cloud formations. A famous one is the man in the moon. Hidden messages and recorded music played in reverse or at a higher or lower than normal speeds. And hearing indistinct voices in random noise, such as that's produced by like air conditioners or fans, or even white noise. And a lot of the ghost hunters, you know what white noise is, okay? Pareidolia can cause people to interpret random images or patterns of lights and shadows as faces, all right? There are a number of theories as to the cause of this phenomena. Experts say pareidolia provides a psychological determination for many delusions that involve the senses. They believe pareidolia could be behind numerous sightings of ghosts, UFOs, Elvis, and even Nessie, the old Loch Ness monster. The list goes on, and hearing of disturbing messages on records when they're played backwards, or hearing voices and the sounds of fans and the like I mentioned. Well, this happens because our brains are wired to make sense of things, even if something doesn't make sense. That's why, if you see a photo of random objects, your brain tries to make sense of this, and the first thing that your brain is looking for is a face. And that's why many times people will see faces where there actually is no face. Sometimes you'll see where people think they snapped a photo of a ghost. Oh my gosh, I have seen quite a few of these as of lately floating around in my news feed. They think they snapped a photo of a ghost, and they blow it up so large that it's so pixelated that pareidolia starts taking hold, and they claim it as a ghost when all it is the pixelation and your brain making sense of the pixelation. So is everything pareidolia? Well, I don't think so. But every piece of evidence that you gather does bring cause for searching for logical explanations of what you might be seeing or witnessing. You must look outside the box, folks, farther into what could have caused the phenomena. Are there some legitimate pictures? Of course, I do believe there are. Are there legitimate EVP and voice recordings? Of course, I believe there are. Is every single orb dust, bugs, or pollen? Well, folks, orbs is a tricky subject. For the most part, many of them are nothing more than environmental issues captured by light refractions on your camera lens. Are there unexplainable balls of light? Yes, there are, and you can see those with your eyes. Are they ghosts? I don't know what they are. They are a phenomenon, that's for sure. And I've seen them with my own eyes, and so has many other people. And with that, everyone, we will be back with more after this short break. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope.
That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Son of a...
Hey, son.
Mother...
Son? What are you doing?
Hey, Mom. I'm getting ready to listen to Periscope Uncensored.
By expanding your vocabulary.
Well, it is uncensored.
Son, the uncensored part of Periscope Uncensored is Jax and I getting down to brass tacks with all aspects of the paranormal. There's no fluff on our show.
So, no off-color commentary?
I didn't say that.
Awesome!
Son?
I just hit my head.
Oh boy. I'll go get you an ice pack. Catch Periscope Uncensored Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And if you just tuned in, I invite you all to join me in chat at WBHM-DB.com, where you can ask any questions you may have. And if you've missed the first part of the show, no worries, folks. Whatever is your pleasure, whether it be Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, or iHeartRadio, you can catch the show archive at your leisure. And tonight, we are talking about paranormal versus mental illness. All right. And so y'all know I am a paranormal researcher. I have gathered a lot of evidence. I have seen and heard things that cannot be explained by any logical methods. Am I insane? Am I crazy? Well, folks, all my listening friends out there and avid paranormal researchers and ghost hunters alike, here is what mental health professionals think. Are you guys sure you're ready for this? one psychologist weighs in on sensed presences. You know, like when you feel like you're being watched or you think there's a spirit or ghost in the room. Well, this one psychologist has their take on this. They say that the sensed present usually happens to individuals who have become isolated in an extreme or unusual environment, often when high levels of stress are involved. Possible explanations for sense presence include atmospheric or geomagnetic activity and altered sensations and states of consciousness, which those states of consciousness could be induced by changes in brain chemistry, folks, triggered by stress, lack of oxygen, monotonous stimulation, or a buildup of hormones. And of course, when we don't know, we'll bring it all back to hormones. That is a very big culprit in a lot of different disorders. There is, in fact, exciting new evidence from a research group led by Olaf Blank demonstrating that it is the precise stimulation of specific brain images that trick people into feeling the presence of a ghostly apparition. So they have come up with some research that demonstrates just that. So when we go somewhere and we think we're being watched, we're having some kind of stress or hormonal imbalance, folks. Another psychologist says that some people who say they have been abducted by aliens display symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. And this guy points out that there are many examples of people once seen as incredibly rational people who have come to believe that they are communicating with the dead. So basically, what this guy is saying, that this person was once rational, but now they're not rational anymore. Now, while these psychologists have different takes on paranormal phenomenon, I have found that many of them do have an open mind to ESP. So explain that. In this matter, explanations from another psychologist, they go on to say that suggestibility can fuel myths about ghosts and haunted houses, particularly in an environment that seems creepy. If you stay at a haunted house, you're primed to see ghosts because you've already been told you might, and this means you might interpret a strange noise as a sign that a ghost is present, particularly if other people seem frightened by the noise. Old and abandoned houses and other, off the beat locations that have a scary story, such as a hotel where someone was killed or a home where someone committed suicide, can further prime your mind to see ghosts, even when you might otherwise explain away the unusual apparitions and sounds. So, just by us suggesting that this location is haunted, they are saying that you are primed to see and hear everything that happens that we say is paranormal. Okay. I will tell you that some of the psychologists think that hallucinations are to blame for the paranormal experiences. They go on to say, it's easy to think of hallucinations as the domain of people who are disconnected from reality, but hallucinations are fairly common. About 10% of the people who don't have psychiatric issues report experiencing a hallucination at least once. People are more likely to hallucinate after a death of a loved one, and a large portion of people who have lost close family members report seeing or hearing the family member shortly after his or her death. If you have a vision or a hearing problem, your odds of hallucinating are greatly increased, as degenerative conditions that affect the senses can cause you to perceive things that really are not there. And of course, most of the psychologists and scientists also mention pareidolia. And so what they're saying, folks, is we're hallucinating auditory and visually. When the question about hearing voices and seeing apparitions was presented to one psychologist, their reply was this, all right? Hallucinations, which is the internal mental perception of something that occurs in absence of real physical external stimulus, are cardinal symptoms of various types of psychosis and can be features of diseases like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and other disorders. Auditory hallucinations are by far the more common reported, but visual hallucinations can occur, although they more often raise a flag about a possible different etiology than do auditory hallucinations. And they went on to say that it's very important to seek a competent professional assessment. So, that's what you will be told if you go see a psychologist about, at least this one, about seeing or hearing paranormal phenomena. Now, I'm going to go on to tell you what they also give some explanations why you may be experiencing paranormal activity that may or may not be there. You might really be seeing or hearing it, and you might really not. Here is some explanations why. A Canadian neuroscientist named Michael Persinger, he has been studying the effects of electromagnetic fields on people's perceptions of ghosts, hypothesizing that pulsed magnetic fields that you can't detect on a conscious level can make people feel as if there is a presence in the room with them by causing this unusual activity pattern in the brain's temporal lobe, okay? Persinger has studied people in his lab, and he had them wear what he called a God helmet, and this is what measures the waves. And his findings that certain patterns of weak magnetic fields, putting them over someone's head for 15 to 30 minutes, can create the perception that there is an invisible presence in the room with them. Now, let's go a little further than that. Other scientists have also found that environments that have a reputation for being haunted often feature unusual magnetic fields, okay? Another interesting cause to experience paranormal activity would be infrasound. And if no one knows what it is, or some of you probably do, I'm sure, if some of you don't, infrasound is a sound at low levels, and it's so low that the human can't hear it with their own ears. Some animals can hear it, though. Low frequency vibrations, they can cause distinct psychological discomfort, all right? Scientists studying the effects of how For example, wind turbines, traffic noise near intersections. They have found that low frequency noise can cause disorientation, feelings of panic, changes in heart rate and blood pressure, and other effects that could easily be associated with being visited by a ghost. Further studies also show links between infrasound and the bizarre sensations like getting chills down your spine or feeling uneasy. All right, some of those sensations that people get and they think a ghost is near, depending on where your location is, could be infrasound. And, there are some areas in the United States where there is natural infrasound, just so y'all know. Other research indicates that if someone else confidently asserts that they saw a ghost, it might influence a fellow eyewitness to believe that they saw it too. Like, if I heard a disembodied voice, or I thought I heard it, and I said to you, oh my gosh, did you hear that? Well, maybe you didn't hear that, but it convinced you when I said I heard it out loud that you heard it. So, it's all kind of crazy, right? Still, other research from psychologists believe that medications or drug abuse can cause hallucinations, visual and auditory ones. So, folks, how do we know whether or not we're just crazy? Well, there are standards to go by, if you can believe that. According to psychologists, if you are hearing these voices in your head, kind of like telepathically, you may have a problem. And I said may have a problem. You may have a mental disorder. A true disembodied voice will be heard outside of your head. You may or may not be able to make out what was said. It may happen a lot. It may be just a word or two. It could be a short sentence. But others will be able to hear the disembodied voice at the same time. And if that happens, I believe you can rule out mental illness. If more or one person sees the anomaly at the same time, I personally believe you can rule out mental illness. If more than one person hears the voices at the same time, with no, priming, I believe that you can rule out mental illness, all right? Mental health is another big industry making lots and lots of money. While I don't discount the need for mental health professionals, I do believe they are in the business to make money, just like everything else, the drug companies, what have you. And I think, this is my personal thoughts about this, I think that if they don't fully understand something, like paranormal phenomena, of course, it's easy for them to slap a mental illness label on it and prescribe you a pill or what have you, and there you go. Voila. Now I tell you what, I would be very uncomfortable personally, folks, going to a psychologist and explaining to them that I have several resident spirits here at the jail, and I am on talking terms with them, and I've become friends with them, and first of all, oh my gosh, I'm sure they'll prescribe me probably some medication for schizophrenia. Heck, they may even consider a hospital stay with therapy. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the assessment wouldn't go in my favor. And I'm pretty sure that there is something out there, while we may not fully understand what it is, why it is, how it is, that's where the research is needed. And as a researcher, you must have an open mind to all possibilities. You must examine every instance of the paranormal activity and have an open mind as to what it may or may not be. I'll tell you, folks, not every bump in the night and not every odd noise is paranormal. Keep your mind open to explore the other possibilities of what may have occurred. Although the findings from psychologists and scientists, vary, some are the same, some are the different, they make me question things even more. Like, are those people who are housed in mental health facilities, do they really have mental illnesses? Or are they really hearing disembodied voices and seeing ghosts? And they don't know what to do about it. So maybe themselves or the consultant family and friends who have, coaxed them into going to see a psychologist to have a mental health assessment. Maybe some of these people don't need a mental health assessment. They just don't know how to handle what they're processing, right? That is my question. Are all the people in the mental health facilities really having these mental health issues? I'm not so sure they are, and I think that we as researchers need to keep on doing the work that we're doing to find the answers as to what's really going on. Do I think we're all mental? Absolutely not, although I'm mental sometimes probably, but absolutely not generally. There is more out there, whether the mental health or the scientific world wants to recognize it or not. And with the hard work that a lot of you folks out there are doing, and some of the work that I'm doing, hopefully we will be able to get some proof of that and some proof on what we're actually looking for and some of the answers that we're trying to get. And you can get those by keeping at it. And you do things over and over and over until you find ways that they can be repeated with nearly the same outcomes. And I don't mean by going to location to location to location and ghost hunting here and there. It's being diligent at the same locations, and once you get a breakthrough, then you can try your hypotheses to see if it works at a different location. You see kind of how that works. It's kind of funny how a lot of psychologists suggest mental illness when our own government has been doing research and experiments involving paranormal phenomena way back during the 40s and 50s. 1940s and 1950s, folks. Some of the findings have suggested that there is something more. Like stated earlier, the brain is a very powerful organ, and it works on much like, electrical energy. So what I'm finding, some of those research and experimental files were that they were experimenting with mind reading and telepathy and telekinesis. All very interesting things that some people have been able to do with their brains. Of course, like I said, psychologists are open to ESP, and there are even classes on ESP at colleges for people studying to be psychologists. So, Why aren't they diagnosing this as a mental illness? I'm not quite sure. And with that, folks, we'll be right back after this short break. You are listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. If you just tuned in, I invite you all to join us in chat at WBHM-DB.com, where you can ask any question you may have. And of course, if you just tuned in, you can catch the full show archive on Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, and iHeartRadio at your leisure. Wherever you are, we're there too. So just give us a big search. Now, prior to the break, of course, and all evening, I've been discussing paranormal versus mental illness tonight. And we did some talking about the brain and some of the ways in which the brain works, psychologists and scientists' outlook on the paranormal, and of course, my thoughts and opinions on some of these things as well. While there may be a fine line between some of these, I do believe that paranormal phenomena is real, folks. And on the same token, I do believe that some mental illnesses are very real, but, make no mistake about that. But I also think that quite possibly not all people in the mental health facilities who hear voices, I don't believe they all may be crazy. I don't think so. And in a future show, I have the plans to go and speak with some of those people and get a first-hand account of their take on what's actually going on. And I think that would be far too interesting to talk to those people. And, there's a lot more we could talk about on this subject of paranormal versus mental illnesses. And I just scratched the surface tonight. There could be we didn't really get a chance to weigh in on their thoughts on telepathy and telekinesis and out of body experiences. But believe me, they do have opinions. And that we'll touch on those in a future show. And it's just a really interesting topic. And I think that psychologists need to open their minds a little bit more to what is actually happening. You can't put 15 people in one room who are all sitting there quiet as a mouse and have a voice burst out and claim that to be an auditory hallucination. For all of those people at the same time, I'm not going to buy that. Absolutely not. So, folks, with that, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here at the jail and with 187 PI. I will tell you, next week, we are going to be at the Parapsychon at Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. That is Saturday and Sunday. So if anybody's in the area and listening and you're going to go to the convention, stop by our booth and say, hey. Our network owner, Kat Hobson, will be there representing all the shows and representing the network. She's going to be up there. Me and my team is going to be up there, and it's going to be really fabulous. They're also having a celebrity ghost hunt Saturday night of the Ohio State Reformatory. So for those of you that are attending that, I'm sure that's going to be absolutely fascinating. Now, and all of you out there tonight, if you follow 187 PI's Facebook page, you will notice that we are looking for volunteer paranormal investigators. If you are within a couple hours driving of the jail, it would be ideal, okay? We ask that you have an open mind, want to learn more about the paranormal field, be available on weekends, even if it's not every weekend, but, weekends, and you have reliable transportation. We are having interviews to become a volunteer May 11th at 6 p.m. at the Old Paulding Jail, which is where our Paranormal Research Center, where we do a lot of work at. And the address to that is 112 South Williams Street, Paulding, Ohio, 45879. And if you find us on Facebook, type in a search, 187PI will pop right up. You'll see our badge with our gargoyle on it. Click on that. There's a link right at the top. It's pinned to the top of the page to sign up for an interview session. And the volunteers will be working their way into becoming a full member of our research team. And I am so looking forward to May 11th. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, want to get involved with a fabulous organization, yes, I'm tooting my own horn, sign up and bring yourself to the jail May 11th at 6 p.m. Okay, some other things that are going on this month. We do have Jailbreak going on. That is the fantastic escape games that we run. And Sheriff Cletus Bodine is this month's theme, and the escape games help our restoration efforts of the jail. We're working on restoring the building. Takes a lot of money. The escape games help with that, and they're a heck of a lot of fun. So if you want to know more about the escape games, go to jailbreakcode9.com, and that's the number 9. The available sessions are there. You can book. You can read about all the themes. They change every month. They are pretty darn awesome. Also, we have several available dates for private group investigations. If you got a team or a group of friends and you want to come investigate the jail, see what all this hoopla is we're talking about, these resident spirits, you can book a private night and bring your friends, bring your equipment, and get your ghost on. And you can find information about that on our Facebook page or at 187pi.com under Investigate the Old Paulding Jail. All the dates are there, and we won't be adding any more dates for this year. What's posted is all we have. And I think we only have a couple of weekend nights left available. We don't have many of those to begin with, and what we do have books pretty quick. And I think we only have a couple of those, but we have several during the week. If you're not busy during the week, we have several of those available yet. Also, May 25th, we have Ghost Hunt Weekends, a ghost hunting event coming to the Old Paulding County Jail. And that is, doors open at 7 o'clock for that. And if you want to attend a Ghost Hunt Weekends, a ghost hunting event, go to ghosthuntweekends.com and click on the Old Paulding County Jail. Also, we have, a public ghost hunt June 1st with 187PI with us. And you can get your tickets at 187pi.com under Investigate the Old Jail. Just scroll through the calendar on that page, and we have a few that we're doing this year, public ghost hunts, and we have some special event ghost hunts. We call them birthday events for our resident spirits. You can read about those. They're so exciting, and I actually can't wait to do those. Anyways, for more information, find us on Facebook. Go to 187pi.com, and here is what we have coming up on our wonderful network, WBHM-DB. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Fate Magazine Radio with host Cap Hobson. Monday nights at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Paranormal Pride Show with host Denise Pridemore. Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Paranormal Experience with Kat Hobson. And I'll tell you what, there's some great information on all these shows, and they have fabulous guests, and I'm just so certain you guys will want to tune in. I listen to as many of them as I can, and I just want to let you know, as we come to the close of my show tonight, I want to thank all of you, our listening friends out there tonight, for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to my live broadcast. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great evening and a fantastic weekend. Good night, everyone.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.